Jesus was sent here not to establish a religion. He was sent here to establish a relationship. Jesus came to stand in the gap. Put one hand on humanity, one hand on our Father, and join us together. He came to repair the breach. That's why Jesus came. He didn't come to establish a bunch of rules and regulations. And Jesus goes on to say, he's the one that said that it's man-made ideas taught to people as commands from God. And then he said that the religious leaders are not even willing to walk out that which they demand of their people. And so we're going to do a quick recap just to bring us up today, because we've really looked at week 1 was exposing what religion is. And then last week we talked about what relationship with God is all about. Today we're going to get into how. How do we build a relationship? Before we get there, let's just do a quick recap. We learned that what God is really looking for and what relationship has value over religion is its character over works. Religion's all about works. God's all about character. Right? The next one was heart over appearance. Religion wants to put on a show, have a bunch of fancy robes, remember, with extra wide, like double wide, prayer boxes on their shoulders and their arms with extra long tassels dangling from their rear end. Right? That's religion. God says, I care about what's in here. I'm not worried about all that. What I'm worried about is, where's your heart at? Because your heart is what relates directly to God. It's your spirit. And then new over old. Right? It doesn't mean that works are bad. Works are good. Works are a way that we show people God's love. These things aren't bad. It's just we can't focus on them. They can't be the product of why or what or how we do it. They just have to be what, in the end, a result of why and what and how we're doing what we're doing. But he wants new over old. Doesn't mean that the old is bad. The Old Testament's not bad. Jesus said, I didn't come to abolish it. I came to fulfill it, which means complete it. I came to say it's done, because all of it, he goes on to say, the entire Old Testament led you to me. Not me, but Jesus, me. Right? It'd be really bad if it led you to me. It'd be, y'all run. Right? So new over old. Could you imagine if God was just always, remember he said, I'm about to do what if he said I'm about to do an old thing? Yeah, I'm about to do an old tired thing. Y'all seen it before. I'm going to call Pastor Maloof to blow the shofar, and Pastor Dana's going to carry the flags, and we're going to go down, and I'm going to split the Colorado River and let y'all walk through it just because I can. He wants to do something new in our lives. He wants to do something new in our city, right? So we want new and then truth over tradition. Again, tradition is not terrible. It's just I'd rather have truth, because truth is Jesus. You shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. I am the way, the truth, and the life, right? And then last week we took a look at this relationship. What it does when we have a relationship with God is it lifts you up. Where religion, Jesus said, weighs you down. He said it literally causes you to carry a heavy burden. We don't want that. And then relationship, what else does it do? Is it's about sacrifice. Any healthy relationship, no greater love can you show for a friend than to lay your life down for them. And Jesus did it. He started out showing us how to do this. Good relationship is about sacrifice. And this can apply to all relationships in our life. All relationships can, but we're looking at building that relationship with God. And that sacrifice, he gave it first. His one and only son. He started this baby off. Where religion is all about the show, right? They want to put on a pomp and stance. And relationship, it requires humility. Relationship requires a posture of humility. You can't come into a relationship. You can. It just doesn't work real well. It might for you, but it doesn't for the other person. You think they're okay with it, but they're really not. When you come in knowing it all, and you come in bossing, and you come in it's my way or the highway, and my way's always the best way, that's not good. And you surely can't do that with God. You can try it. Yeah, it just doesn't turn out too well in the end. So what we want to do today is look at something that you can walk out of here today and be better and better and stronger and stronger. Something that's so simple and so practical that if you apply it to your life, there's 4 principles I want to teach you today on how to develop that relationship with God. Not just what it looks like, but how. How can you take practical steps? You want to hear about it? Okay, here we go. Number one, before we get there, let me just back up and tell you how to cultivate. This is the Holy Spirit had me change this late last night. I had it said for weeks to say how to build relationship. And then he said, yeah, but once you build it, you forget about it because it's already built. Oh, so how about we cultivate it, because you have to keep turning it up and making it fresh. You got to keep getting deeper, right? You turn it up and all of a sudden the sun dries it out and it starts to get hard. So you got to keep cultivating and cultivating so that you can keep growing and growing. So we're talking about how to cultivate relationship. Number one, answer the call. Because I promise you, the call is coming. The call is there right now. The call is at your door every single day. Look at Jesus' words in Revelation chapter 3, verse 20. He said, look. And when he says that with an exclamation point, what he's saying is, please pay attention to what I'm about to say. What I'm about to say is super duper important. That's a CJV, right? CGV. He says, look, I stand at the door. And that door is your heart. Because that's where your spirit dwells, your innermost being. And that's what relates directly to God. And that's how you communicate to God. That's why above all else, guard your heart. Look, I stand at the door of your heart and I knock. You know what that tells me? He's pursuing you. You're not going to find God. He's going to find you. He will leave the 99 to pursue the one. He left his throne in heaven to come down in an earthly form for you. Religion will make you feel like you got to just chase after God with everything you got, and it's never going to be good enough because others are running faster and better than you. But the God I know, he was already there waiting on me. In the middle of my mess, he was waiting on me, believing in me. So he's already pursuing us. That's relational. And then he says, if, the condition, if you hear my voice. Why would we not hear his voice? Because sometimes I think we drown his voice out with fear and stress and anxiety, worry. We drown it out with the words of bullies from school. We drown it out with word curses. We drown it out with all of the cares of this world. We drown out that voice because we're looking for the big boom kind of a voice. But what did Elijah say? He said he stepped to the edge of the mountain and a windstorm came so powerful it blasted the rocks off. And he thought, that's God. But God's voice wasn't in it. Then the fire came raging and blazing and his voice wasn't there either. And then the earth shook everything to its core. But the Lord wasn't in it either. And then came that still, small voice whispering in his heart. And Elijah knew. He covered his face with his cloak and said, this is the Lord. Sometimes we're waiting on the heavens to split and the shining glory of God to fall upon us with angels dancing and playing. It's probably not going to happen. But if you'll just quiet yourself, if we just tune out all the negative and listen, I believe that the voice of God is being spoken every second of every minute, of every hour, of every day, of every week, of every month, of every year, of every decade. I believe the voice of God is permanently permeating our atmosphere. We just have to tune in to it. His voice is always speaking. And if you hear his voice, and then this is your part, what do you got to do? Open the door. You're answering the call. You're answering the knock. He's standing there knocking. And it doesn't mean just for the first introduction. Whenever you need him, he's already there. He's already knocking. Just listen for his voice. And when you open the door, and this is so beautiful about Jesus because he is the perfect gentleman. He doesn't say he's going to huff and puff and blow your door off. Or he's going to C4 it off. He's going to knock, and he's going to wait for you to hear and you to open. But once you do, he said, I will come into you. I will live in you. We will share life together. We will be friends. We'll work this out. It goes back to what we talked about. Walk with me. Work with me. Watch how I do it. This is what Jesus is speaking to all of us. He wants to live life with you. It's amazing that he's not coming down with all these rules and regulations. He's like, no, dude, I just want to hang out, get to know you, let you get to know me, work together, talk this stuff out together. So the first step, the first principle is really answering the call. If we answer the call, then the next one leads to this, is we must remain faithful. I can say yes to Jesus. I can say a prayer sitting here today and say, yes, Jesus, I commit my life to you. But if I leave this place and go out and live a completely the same life that I lived before I came in, then what was the prayer for? That it's remaining faithful. And it doesn't mean that you're going to all of a sudden become perfect. You're not. I'm going to go ahead and give you that disclaimer. You're not. Jesus, matter of fact, he said that nobody is perfect except him. And we will not be able to achieve perfection until the day that we are with him. Now, that should not be an excuse for us to just live crazy, but it also should not be a condemnation on our life to make us feel guilty and shameful that we're not good enough. We've got to find the balance. What does that look like? I'm going to strive for perfection, but I'm going to understand that I'm not going to reach it every time. Remain in me. Look at John 15, verse 4, Jesus' words again. Remain in me, and I will. It's a promise from God. I will remain in you. The King James says, abide in me, and I will abide in you. That word abide bears out to mean live. Live in me. Live life with me. And I'm going to live life with you. For a branch, it cannot produce fruit. It's impossible if it is severed from the vine. And you cannot be fruitful unless you do what? Remain in me. We got to stay connected. He said, I am the vine. You are the branches. We must stay connected. We must remain faithful. And I want to paint the picture for you and help you to understand. Faithful, again, it does not mean perfect. It just means that you are full of faith to Jesus. That your faith is full. You know that you're not there, but you're on your way. Because Jesus, here's the beautiful thing, that no matter what you do, he's going to remain faithful to you. He makes us a promise that if we will die for him, then we will live with him. If we suffer for him, then we will reign with him. If we deny him, he will deny us. But even when you are unfaithful, he said, I will remain faithful, for I cannot deny myself. In other words, there's nothing you can do ever to turn Jesus off of you. But religion wants you to walk on eggshells, wants you to walk in fear. You better not do that wrong. You better do this. And you just feel like you almost got some kind of sickness in your body because you're nervous all the time that you're about to lose your salvation or that you're about to blow it all in one moment. When Jesus is saying, I'm going to be faithful to you no matter what. I'm ride or die. I got your back. I'm loyal to the end. Now, he would really like it for us to repay him that. Right? Remain in me, and I will remain in you. You know what he's saying? It takes two to make a thing go right. And I came to get down, right? So, there's another song that goes with the first one, knocking on heaven's door, right? He's knocking on your door. I'm just not a singer. Don't care to be. I tried it when I was younger. You know, I tried to play the trumpet. I thought something has to work musically for me. It's got 3 stinking buttons on it. I mean, come on. How hard can I get a big mouth? I can blow hard, 3 buttons. How hard can that be? terrible. Terrible. Find my lane. I'm good with my lane. I'm in the fast lane of other things than music, right? So number 3, look at this one. This is going to rub some of you tough Texans the wrong way, but it's okay. Listen now. Stay soft. I want to speak from my heart to you. Stay soft. I know you're Texas tough. I love Texas. I love everything about it. I wasn't born here, but I got here as fast as I could. Don't ever plan to leave. I love what it stands for. I love everything about Texas, but listen now. I'm not Texan. I'm a Christian who happens to live in Texas. Are you listening? I have to stay soft before God. Look at Isaiah chapter 64, verse 8. And yet, O Lord, you are our Father. We are the clay. And you're the potter. And we are all, what are we? We're formed by your hand. He's molding us, shaping us. We have to stay soft so that we can stay in the hands of God. And he continue to work on us, continue to help us, continue to shape us. Because if you get hard, then you end up like Humpty Dumpty. You fall, you shatter into a million pieces, and who all did it take to put that dude back together again? All the king's horsemen, all the king's men. In other words, when you stay hard and you fall, you break. I'd rather sound like when I hit the ground. Do you follow what I'm saying? Like, can't sing, but can make some really gross noises. I'm being serious. Like, I want to be like Gumby. And just this morning when I was on my prayer walk, I had this message prepared for weeks, but just on this morning on my prayer walk, I heard the Holy Spirit speak so clearly to me. You know, most of you know this, but 2 years ago, I thought life as I knew it was ending. I just, literally everything that I cared about was just being stripped away. And I didn't know. I didn't know if I wanted to do this anymore. I didn't know. I had a lot of thoughts, a lot of things going. I didn't know. I couldn't project the next 3 days, much less 3 months or 3 years. I didn't know what to do. But I did 2 things really well. I did some not so well, but I did 2 things really well. And the first one is I just stayed soft before the Lord. Because the Holy Spirit reminded me, he said, this is why you're in the position you're in today. Because the righteous, they fall down 7, but they stand up 8. And here's the thought. How are you able to get back up from the fall? Is because you stayed soft before the Lord, and he's the one who picked you back up and formed you. Now watch this now. Didn't form you back into the way you were, because now you're stronger. Now you're wiser. Now you done learned some stuff through the experience that you had, and all of a sudden he's forming you into a greater weapon. He's forming you into a more beautiful vase. He's taking you, and he's taking all the lessons you've learned and all the scars that you have, and he's making you into a stronger, better you than you've ever been, because you remain soft. But if you remain hard, the devil will break you. And that's what he wants. He wants to get you all hard, get you mad at everything, get you mad that you've been bullied, get you mad, listen now, get you mad that somebody got the promotion over you, get you mad that your spouse didn't say hello to you when you thought they should say hello to you. You follow what I'm saying? Like, he wants to get you mad, he wants to get you upset, he wants to get you all up in your feelings. Are you listening? None of us have ever been there though, right? We're so soft. We're so soft. He wants to get you there. Because if he can get you hard-hearted, when you fall, you will break. And it will take an awful lot to put you back together again. You're here today, I believe it with all of my heart, because there's remains softness in your heart. And for those that have not gotten back up, I believe it's because they had a hard heart. And they weren't able to be molded anymore by their father, by their potter. So we must stay soft before God. Is this helping anybody? It's helping me. Look at number 4. Keep close. I'm getting all up in my feelings thinking about this one. Keep close. Jesus is coming into a town. I'm going to read a story to you in a second, but he's about to encounter the same Mary who he rescued from being stoned to death for prostitution. He's the one that stepped in the gap, drew the line in the sand, and told those religious Pharisees, "You without sin cast the first stone." And they all had to drop it and walk away because they knew they were not perfect. And now we pick it up as Jesus and the disciples in Luke chapter 10, verse 38, continuing on their way to Jerusalem. They came to a certain village where a woman named Martha welcomed him into her home. She heard the knock, listened to his voice, welcomed him in. Her sister Mary, she sat at the Lord's feet, listening to what he taught. Now watch what happens. But Martha, she was distracted. She was distracted by the big dinner she was preparing. She's doing a good thing with the wrong focus. She came to Jesus and she said, "Lord, doesn't it seem unfair to you that my sister just sits here while I do all the work?" She's all up in her feelings. And then she starts bossing Jesus. Now, you, I can't even do the Z-snap right, but you know what I'm trying to do, right? I was like, listen. You know what I'm trying to do. Tell her, look what she says to Jesus. Tell her, Jesus, tell her to come help me. Sometimes you can get so busy about the Father's business, you forget the one who owns the business. Jesus is the one that said, "I am busy about my Father's business." That's good, but he never once forgot who owned the business. And we love our vision here. Know God, find freedom, discover purpose, make a difference. Love it. It's a great commission. It works really well. Jesus gave it to us. It's awesome. It continues to work still to this day. Imagine that, right? So, but in that, we got this discover purpose thing where we want you to unlock this purpose so you can go make a difference, and that's huge. That's our ultimate purpose of life, is to make a difference in the lives of others. But if we get so busy making a difference that we forget to know God intimately, then we start to look like this. Jesus could be right in your midst, and you'll walk right by him. Where Mary had been forgiven of so much that she refused to leave his feet, soaking up every moment and every word with him. Then look what goes on. But the Lord said to her, "My dear Martha." In the King James it says, "Martha, Martha, Martha." You never want your name said 3 times. You just don't. I don't like my full name said to me, and look, I think I'm in trouble every time I'm Christopher. I just feel it. But if it comes 3 times, whoo, I know I'm up for it. My mother, she had to say my full name and say it 3 times, or she said my full name and my middle name and then did it multiple times. I knew I was getting it that day. Martha, Martha, Martha. You're worried and upset over all these details. Doesn't mean the details aren't important. But there is only what? One thing. There is only one thing. There is only one who is worth being concerned about, and his name is Jesus. And he is here to work with you, to walk with you, to have relationship with you. And he says, Mary, she's discovered it, and it will not be taken away from her. How good is that? Jesus is letting us know, yes, it's good to discover your purpose. And yes, it's awesome to make a difference, and we should do that. But we should never forget the full circle comes back. It's all because we know him. It's all because we know him intimately, and we walk out an intimate relationship with God. I told you there was 2 things of what helped me to hold on during the greatest crisis I've ever faced, and this was the second. My pastor said to me, I said, "What do I do?" And he said, "I'm going to tell you one thing." He said, do not leave your house. I don't care what day of the week it is. I don't care how busy your schedule is. I don't care. Do not leave your house until you have had an encounter with Jesus. If you will do that, Chris, God will get you through this. And I can tell you still to this day, it's the only thing I care about. It's the only thing I'll care about the rest of my life. I love encounters with Jesus. I do. I pursue them daily, typically, yes. But now it's a thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's one thing. You know what I mean? Like, it's like there's no way I could have made it through it without him. And that's what God is wanting. And that's what God is desiring from all of us. Stay close. Keep close to him. Draw near to me, and I will draw near to you. That's his promise. It takes two, again, to make it work, because he is that perfect gentleman. Has this helped you? Can we give Jesus one big thank you for his word?